Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is 6-Path Weeb. Today, we dive into a story where destiny bends, timelines fracture, and one decision changes everything. Our fanfic topic is: what if Naruko rewrote Obito's fate? In a world shaped by war, loss, and shattered dreams, Obito Uchiha became the embodiment of despair. But what if the thread of his destiny was never meant to snap? What if someone saw through the darkness before it consumed him? And what if that someone was Naruko, a force strong enough not just to fight fate, but to rewrite it? This is not just a battle of shinobi. It's a battle between hope and hopelessness. Between manipulation and redemption. Between the past that was. And the future that could have been. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, let's begin. The first time she woke up, Naruko realized something was different. The fact that she could open her eyes was exactly the problem. She wasn't supposed to remember this. She wasn't supposed to feel the warmth of sunlight spilling into her room or hear the birds singing outside the window. Why? Because in the stories she had been told, stories that weren't meant to scare her, Naruko was supposed to be someone entirely different. Someone she had never known. Her small hands brushed over her face. Her skin felt smooth and soft, and her cheeks were round and warm. She glanced down at her pajamas, bright blue, decorated with cheerful swirls and tiny foxes, and noticed how small she looked. She was shorter than she remembered being, and there were no marks or scars anywhere. Her reflection in the mirror made her blink. A 12-year-old girl stared back at her, wide-eyed and full of life. And somehow, it was her. She remembered being brave before, but now she felt different, lighter, softer, and full of possibilities. Naruko took a deep breath, feeling a mix of wonder and nervousness. Everything felt new, but strangely familiar. The room smelled like warm sunlight and fresh paper. A small bookshelf stood against the wall, lined with colorful books and a framed picture of her smiling friends, her mentor, and the teammates who always stood by her side. A thought crossed her mind: why was she back here? Why had she woken up in this place, in this body, in this moment? Even though a twinge of worry pressed against her chest, Naruko's curiosity was stronger. She knew one thing for sure: this was a chance. A chance to learn more, to grow, and to find a path that was entirely her own. She walked toward the window, her heart fluttering. Outside, the village was alive with people going about their days. Children ran laughing along the paths, their energy filling the air. Birds hopped from branch to branch, singing songs that made the world feel magical. Naruko realized something important: even if she didn't know why she was here, even if the path ahead was unclear, she could still choose how to face it. She could choose kindness. She could choose courage. She could choose to lift others up, to make friends, and to explore every bit of the world with open eyes and an open heart. A small smile spread across her face. She had been given a second chance, not to undo mistakes, but to create a story full of joy, friendship, and adventure. And this time, Naruko decided, she wouldn't let fear or doubt hold her back. With that, she opened the door to her new day, ready to meet the world, and herself, head on. Naruko stood in the quiet hall of the village library, holding a small picture frame in her hands. It showed her smiling friends, each one holding a book or a scroll, laughing under the bright sunlight. She loved this picture. It reminded her of the adventures they had together, the secrets they had shared, and the dreams they had promised to chase. "Careful with that," a soft voice said. Naruko looked up to see her friend Rin, bouncing with excitement. "You've been studying that spell for hours. Are you sure you're ready to try it?" Naruko took a deep breath, her fingers forming the precise hand signs she had practiced countless times. She felt a tingle of energy flow from her fingertips, like the warm rush of wind before a spring storm. "I'm ready," she whispered, determination shining in her eyes. "I just want to make it work." She held the picture frame in front of her and focused all her energy on it. A gentle glow began to rise from her palms, wrapping around the frame like a soft, golden ribbon. Rin's eyes widened. "It's working. You're doing it, Naruko." Suddenly, the glow grew brighter, filling the room with a warm, comforting light. The picture frame floated gently above Naruko's hands, spinning slowly in mid-air. She gasped, both in surprise and delight. It's alive," she exclaimed. The magic actually worked. From behind them, Kakashi, their teacher, peeked over the doorway. "Naruko, I see you've learned to focus your energy. But remember, magic is not just about power. It's about care, responsibility, and sharing your gift with others." Naruko nodded, hugging the picture frame close to her chest. I understand, sensei. I want to protect the memories we make, not just for me, but for everyone I care about. Rin grinned, leaning close to Naruko. Then let's make the picture even more special. What if we create a spell that lets it show our happiest memories whenever we look at it? Naruko's eyes sparkled. Yes. And maybe, we can even make it show our dreams for the future. Over the next few hours, the two friends worked side by side, laughing and sharing ideas. They tried different hand signs, whispered chants, and tiny gestures of magic. Each attempt made the picture frame shimmer in new ways, like sunlight dancing on water. Finally, with a soft hum of energy, the picture glowed brighter than ever. It wasn't just a picture anymore, it was a little window into their happiest moments. When Naruko looked at it, she could see the day they planted flowers in the village garden, the festival where everyone danced under lanterns, and even the quiet afternoons when they had just sat together and shared stories. Wow, Kakashi said, smiling behind his mask. You've done something truly wonderful. You've not only learned a spell, but you've learned what makes magic real: friendship, care, and love. Naruko hugged the picture frame again, feeling the warmth of her friends in her hands. She realized something important: magic wasn't just in hand signs or spells. It was in the courage to try, the kindness to care for others, and the perseverance to never give up, even when things seemed too hard. That night, as Naruko lay in her bed, she held the glowing picture frame close. She knew that no matter what challenges came her way, she would face them with courage, with her friends by her side, and with a heart full of hope. And for the first time in a long while, Naruko whispered to herself with a smile, I'm ready to shine. Naruko's journey. Naruko blinked awake to the warm light spilling through the window of a cozy room she had never seen before. She sat up, brushing her messy orange hair from her eyes, and looked around. The walls were painted with soft clouds, and shelves were filled with colorful books, little wind chimes, and handmade toys. A soft blanket lay twisted around her legs, as if someone had left it there for her comfort. Where am I? She whispered to herself. Her heart thumped with curiosity rather than fear. Naruko was never the type to panic, she had always faced the unexpected with wide-eyed wonder. She swung her legs over the side of the bed and padded quietly to the window. Outside, the village below was buzzing with life. Children ran through gardens, birds sang in the trees, and the sun sparkled on rooftops. Naruko took a deep breath. This is beautiful, she said softly, a smile tugging at her lips. As she explored the house, she found a small note on the table. It was written in neat handwriting. Dear Naruko, welcome to Hanami Village. You have been chosen for a special adventure. Remember, courage, kindness, and friendship will guide you. The village elders. Her eyes widened. A special adventure? Naruko loved adventures. Ever since she could remember, she had dreamed of discovering hidden places, learning new skills, and making friends wherever she went. She felt a spark of excitement light up inside her chest. Outside, a cheerful voice called, Naruko. Come on, we're waiting for you. She looked down and saw two children waving at her from the garden. One had hair the color of midnight and carried a small lantern, the other had bright green hair and a mischievous grin. I'm coming. Naruko called back, racing down the stairs. Her sneakers thumped against the wooden floor. When she joined the children in the garden, the green-haired girl grinned. I'm Sora, and this is Aiko. We'll be your teammates. Naruko beamed. I'm Naruko. Nice to meet you. What's the adventure? Sora's eyes twinkled. You'll see soon. But first, we need to learn the most important things a hero must know: how to help others, work together, and believe in ourselves, even when things are hard. Aiko nodded. And don't forget kindness. Sometimes a small act can change someone's whole day. Naruko felt her heart swell. These children were exactly the kind of friends she wanted to have. She realized that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with courage, curiosity, and a smile. The three of them spent the morning exploring the village, helping a lost kitten find its way home, and carrying fresh water to an elderly gardener. With every small deed, Naruko felt braver and happier. She didn't know the full adventure that awaited her, but she already understood an important truth. Heroism wasn't about powers or battles, it was about helping, caring, and believing in yourself and others. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in pink and gold, Naruko looked at her new friends and whispered, I think this is just the beginning. And indeed, it was. Why her? Naruko wondered quietly as she stared out at the village below, her small hands clutching the edge of the hill. Why not someone else? Someone braver, stronger, or already celebrated? She was not the child of prophecy, not the one everyone expected to shine like the sun. But somehow, she had been chosen. Naruko had always been different, not in a bad way, just uniquely her. She could feel the heartbeat of the wind, hear the whispers of the trees, and sense the joy and sadness in the people around her. She had always wanted to help, to make everyone happy, but she never imagined she would be entrusted with a task as monumental as this. The task was simple in words but impossible in action. She was to journey into a time before the village knew hardship, to help guide hearts and heal old wounds. Naruko's mind raced. Could she really do it? She had stumbled, she had cried, she had felt the sting of failure. But she had also laughed, made friends, and discovered courage she never knew she had. Perhaps that was enough. She took a deep breath and looked at the two figures standing quietly beside her. One was gentle, with eyes full of understanding, her mentor, the kind-hearted Minato. The other, strong and watchful, was her friend and protector, Fugaku. Neither spoke, but Naruko could feel their trust in her. "You don't have to be the strongest," Minato said softly, almost as if he were reading her thoughts. "You only have to be yourself. That is enough." Naruko's heart fluttered. She wasn't a blazing star, chosen by prophecy or fate. But she was her own bright light, and that light could touch people in ways even legends could not. Her journey would not be easy. She would meet challenges that would test her patience, moments that might make her doubt herself. But she also knew something precious: she would not face them alone. Friends, both old and new, would walk with her. And even in times of sadness, there would be laughter. Naruko smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She might not be the hero everyone expected, but she could be the hero the village, and herself, needed. And perhaps, along the way, she would discover that the greatest magic of all was not in changing the past or rewriting history, but in the courage to be kind, the courage to try, and the courage to grow. And so, with her heart full of hope and her steps guided by determination, Naruko set off into the unknown. A journey of friendship, discovery, and light awaited, and she was ready. Hatake Kakashi was not someone known for his patience. Skillful, clever, and dependable, yes. But patience? That was a quality he was still learning. Which was exactly why he had dreaded the moment he learned he would be on a team with Uchiha Obito, the boy who somehow made being late an art form. Loud, overconfident, and a little reckless, Obito had a talent for testing Kakashi's nerves in ways that even Kakashi's clever mind couldn't anticipate. Today, Kakashi's patience was being tested in a new way. Their teammate had promised to arrive early for an important team mission. Early, an almost impossible word when it came to Obito. Kakashi's silver hair glimmered in the morning sun as he glanced at Naruko, the newest member of their team. She was full of energy and optimism, but her wide, worried eyes mirrored his own frustration. "Minato-sensei," Kakashi muttered, addressing their team leader who was quietly reading a scroll nearby. "The Uchiha is almost 2 hours late. Can we just go without him?" Minato smiled faintly but shook his head. "No, Kakashi. This is a team mission. If Obito isn't ready, we'll need to find him." Kakashi sighed, tugging at his mask. Naruko, with her bright eyes and boundless determination, nudged him gently. "We'll find him," she said confidently. "We just have to look." Despite her cheer, Kakashi couldn't ignore the faint smell of smoke as they neared Obito's neighborhood. It wasn't a campfire smell or anything from a kitchen, it was sharper, unusual, and unsettling. Kakashi's eye twitched. Minato suddenly stiffened, his gaze locking on a building just ahead. Without warning, he dashed forward, leaving Kakashi and Naruko scrambling to keep up. Their eyes widened as they saw a small cloud of smoke curling from the windows of Obito's apartment complex. Could it be? Kakashi muttered, worry creeping into his calm exterior. Naruko's heart beat fast, but instead of fear, determination filled her chest. She clenched her fists. "We have to help him," she said. Kakashi gave a small nod. The flames flickered higher as they approached, but Naruko noticed something remarkable. Amid the bright orange glow, she sensed a tiny spark of chakra, just enough to know that Obito was using some sort of technique, not in danger, but perhaps trying to solve a problem in his own chaotic way. Before Kakashi could suggest a plan, Minato appeared beside the building in a flash of golden light. He emerged seconds later, holding Obito, who was safe but exhausted, clutching a small painting he had been trying to save. Naruko's relief turned into a gentle smile. She hurried forward, helping to steady Obito. "You did the right thing, Obito," she said softly. "You can't solve everything alone." Obito blinked, a little embarrassed but grateful. I "I just didn't want anyone to get hurt," he muttered. Kakashi, watching quietly, felt a flicker of admiration, not just for Obito, but for Naruko, whose courage and compassion reminded him that patience could grow when people believed in one another. Together, the three students and their sensei disappeared in a flash of light, heading to the hospital where everyone could rest. Naruko stayed close to Obito, chatting to keep his spirits high, proving that even in moments of chaos, friendship and kindness could shine brighter than any flame. And as they walked, Kakashi realized something. Maybe being part of a team wasn't about avoiding frustration or delays, it was about growing together, learning from each other, and having the courage to face the unexpected. For Naruko, this was just the beginning of a journey filled with laughter, challenges, and countless small adventures that would teach her what it truly meant to be a friend, a teammate, and a hero in her own way. Naruko in the heart of the hidden village. Naruko was not like the other children in her village. While most kids ran around practicing simple exercises or playing tag, she spent her afternoons sitting under the cherry blossom trees, imagining faraway places and dreaming of becoming a shinobi who could protect everyone with kindness and courage. She had bright eyes that sparkled whenever she laughed, and a spirit so determined that even the strongest winds of doubt couldn't shake her. Naruko's friends, Yumi and Hiko, often joined her in her adventures, though they sometimes worried that her endless curiosity would get them all into trouble. One spring morning, the village announced a special challenge, the Festival of Lights, where children were invited to create glowing lanterns that would float into the sky. The festival was more than just a celebration, it was a test of patience, teamwork, and creativity. Naruko bounced with excitement. "We can do this together. Yumi, Hiko, let's make the biggest lantern ever." Yumi, always cautious, hesitated. "Naruko, last time your big idea almost set the library on fire." Naruko grinned sheepishly. "This time it'll be different. I promise." The three friends worked tirelessly. Naruko wove colorful threads into intricate patterns, Hiko carefully shaped the lantern's frame, and Yumi decorated it with sparkling symbols of friendship. When the lantern was finally ready, it towered above them, glowing with every color of the rainbow. On the night of the festival, the village square was filled with laughter and light. Children and adults alike released their lanterns into the sky, each one carrying wishes for the future. Naruko's lantern shone brighter than all the others, its colors dancing as if the stars themselves had joined in the celebration. But just as the lantern began to rise, a sudden gust of wind tilted it dangerously. Yumi gasped, and Hiko tried to steady it, but it was too large to hold alone. Without a second thought, Naruko leapt forward, her small hands grasping the lantern's frame. "We can do this together," she called. Yumi and Hiko joined her, and together, the three friends guided the lantern safely into the sky. As it floated higher and higher, Naruko felt a warmth in her heart. Not because they had succeeded, but because they had worked as a team, trusted one another, and never given up. When the festival ended, the village elders approached them with smiles. "Naruko, Yumi, Hiko," one said, "you have shown courage, teamwork, and a kind heart. These are the greatest qualities of a true shinobi." Naruko beamed. She looked at her friends, who were both laughing and covered in bits of glitter, and realized something important. Being strong didn't mean doing everything alone. True strength came from helping others, being brave in the face of fear, and never forgetting the people who stood by your side. From that day on, Naruko continued to grow, not just as a shinobi, but as a kind and courageous girl who inspired everyone around her. And though many adventures awaited her, she knew that no matter what challenges came, friendship and perseverance would always light her way. Naruko had been visiting her friend Obito at the village infirmary every day. Each visit was carefully timed so they wouldn't all arrive at once. Rin usually brought bright flowers, which made the room smell like a small spring garden, and her visits often alerted Minato and Kakashi that someone was coming. Kakashi visited once a day, right after lunch, while Minato, who felt deeply responsible for what had happened, came often and stayed for long stretches. Though it had only been a few days since Obito had been hurt in the accident, everyone noticed a change. Obito's usual sparkle, the way he laughed at everything, even the silliest jokes, was gone. The cheerful chatter that had once filled the air during missions had quieted. Team 7 felt strangely empty without him. Kakashi, usually so composed, found himself missing the little jokes and playful arguments he had shared with Obito. On the 5th day since Obito had been admitted to the infirmary, Naruko, Rin, and their sensei returned from a small mission and went to check on him. Kakashi was nervous. They had heard Obito might wake up soon, and the thought made his stomach twist. Obito had always been cheerful, but he had his moments of worry and sadness too. Could it be that he had been hiding something big all this time? Naruko entered the room quietly, her hands clasped nervously. Obito stirred, his eyelids fluttering as if trying to adjust to the bright light. Obiko. Rin called out gently, a mixture of relief and worry in her voice. We were so worried. Are you feeling okay? Obiko blinked slowly and looked around the room. For a moment, he seemed confused. Then he reached for something on the bedside table, a small picture, a memento from happier days, and held it close to his chest, his eyes shining with unshed tears. Minato leaned forward. I'm afraid everything else was damaged in the accident, but this picture survived. You'll be safe here, and we'll make sure you have a place to stay until you're ready to go home. Obiko's eyes widened, and he murmured softly, Stay. Here? Yes, Naruko said with a reassuring smile, stepping closer. You don't have to face anything alone. We'll be here for you. Obiko looked around at his friends, at the kind faces of Rin, Naruko, Minato, and even Kakashi standing quietly in the corner. Slowly, a small, shy smile appeared on his face.
I don't want to be alone, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper.
Naruko reached out and gently took his hand. You're never alone when you have friends who care about you, she said warmly. We all make mistakes or get hurt sometimes. That's okay. What matters is that we stick together and help each other. The room, once heavy with worry, seemed lighter. Even Kakashi's usual stoic expression softened. They spent the afternoon talking, sharing stories, and laughing at small memories, letting the warmth of friendship fill the spaces where fear had been. And in that moment, Obiko realized something important. It wasn't about being perfect or hiding pain, it was about trusting the people around you and allowing them to be part of your story. Naruko's courage, kindness, and steady presence reminded him that even the hardest times could be softened by friendship, hope, and care. From that day on, Team 7 felt more like a family than ever. They trained together, shared secrets, and celebrated small victories. And whenever Obiko felt scared or unsure, he remembered Naruko's words, "You're never alone when you have friends who care about you." It was the beginning of many adventures, filled with laughter, learning, and the unshakable bond of friendship that nothing, not even a near accident, could break. Naruko in the hidden village of light. In a bright, bustling village surrounded by rolling hills and sparkling rivers, lived a spirited girl named Naruko. She had a shock of golden hair that bounced whenever she ran, and eyes that gleamed with curiosity and kindness. Naruko was no ordinary girl, she had an extraordinary gift. Her heart could sense the feelings of everyone around her, and with patience and courage, she could help them find happiness and courage too. But Naruko wasn't always confident. She often felt like an outsider in the village, because while everyone had their talents, like crafting, gardening, or storytelling, her gift was invisible and hard to explain. She longed to belong, to find friends who would understand her heart, and to discover what she was truly capable of. One sunny morning, Naruko received a special invitation. The elder of the Village of Light, a gentle woman named Fuyumi, asked her to come to the Heart Tree, the oldest tree in the village. Naruko, Fuyumi said softly, I've seen your heart at work. You have a rare gift, the ability to awaken courage and hope in others. But to understand its true power, you must train with the Lightkeepers, guardians of the village. Naruko's eyes widened. Lightkeepers? Guardians? But I've never done anything like that before. Fuyumi smiled. Exactly. That is why you must start now. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is taking steps forward, even when you're unsure. And so, Naruko's journey began. The friends she found. Her first challenge was learning to work with others. She met Tomo, a clever boy with a talent for puzzles, and Mika, a gentle girl who could communicate with animals. At first, they didn't get along. Tomo wanted things done quickly, Mika worried about every tiny detail, and Naruko felt unsure how to help them work together. One day, while training near the village stream, a little fox got tangled in a net. Naruko calmed the fox with her kindness, and then showed Tomo and Mika how to help carefully. Working together, they freed the fox. That was kind of amazing, Tomo said, smiling for the first time in days. You were amazing, Naruko, Mika added. You helped us work together without even trying. Naruko blushed. She realized that her gift wasn't just about seeing others' feelings, it was about guiding them toward their own courage. The trial of the heart. After weeks of practice, Fuyumi led Naruko to the heart tree. Your final trial is here, she said. You must face the shadow of doubt. It's a reflection of your fears and worries. But remember, courage grows through friendship and kindness. Naruko stepped forward. The shadow loomed, whispering all the things she feared. You're not strong enough. No one will understand you. You can't protect your friends. Naruko took a deep breath and thought of Tomo and Mika, of the little fox they had saved, and of every person in the village she had ever helped. Slowly, she stepped closer. I may be scared. But I am not alone. I have friends, and I have hope. The shadow shimmered and faded into light, leaving behind a warm glow that surrounded Naruko. She felt stronger than she ever had before, not because she was fearless, but because she had embraced her heart and her courage. A village united. Naruko returned to the village a hero, not because she fought or defeated anyone, but because she showed everyone the power of kindness, teamwork, and courage. She became a mentor to younger children, teaching them that strength came from helping others, believing in themselves, and never giving up. And every evening, under the branches of the heart tree, Naruko and her friends would laugh, share stories, and dream of new adventures. She had discovered her place in the world, not through magic or power, but through the light she carried in her heart, and that light made everyone around her shine too. Naruko and the Whispering Village. In the heart of a hidden mountain village, where cherry blossoms danced in the wind and rivers sang gentle songs, lived a spirited girl named Naruko. Her bright orange scarf, a gift from her grandmother, fluttered behind her as she ran through the winding streets, her laughter echoing against the wooden rooftops. Naruko had a gift. She could sense the feelings of people around her, a special kind of magic the villagers called heart light. But Naruko's gift wasn't always easy to handle. Sometimes, when someone was sad, angry, or afraid, their emotions would swirl around her like a storm, and she would feel it all at once. It could be overwhelming, but it also gave her a chance to help. Naruko dreamed of becoming a friend keeper, someone who could bring harmony wherever they went. One morning, as golden sunlight spilled across the rooftops, Naruko stumbled upon a little boy sitting alone under a sakura tree. He had dark, thoughtful eyes and a tiny frown that made Naruko's heart ache. "Hi there. I'm Naruko," she said cheerfully, plopping down beside him. "Why are you sitting here all by yourself?" The boy looked up, startled.
I don't know if anyone wants to be my friend," he admitted softly.
Naruko smiled, her eyes sparkling. "Well, I do. And I think everyone deserves a friend. Let's fix that together." From that moment, Naruko and the boy, whose name was Otaku, became inseparable. They explored hidden gardens, raced along the riverbanks, and helped villagers with little tasks that needed kind hearts. Along the way, Naruko taught Otaku how to use his own special magic, which allowed him to hear the gentle whispers of the forest and talk to the creatures living there. As the seasons changed, Naruko learned something important. True courage isn't about fighting monsters or winning contests, it's about standing by your friends when they're scared, believing in yourself when the path seems impossible, and sharing your light even when the world feels dark. One day, the village faced a challenge. A bridge had collapsed, cutting off the mountain path that connected them to nearby towns. The villagers worried, unsure how to carry supplies and help each other. Naruko, however, had an idea. She gathered her friends, small and big, and together they built a new bridge using ropes, teamwork, and clever inventions. Every villager had a part to play, and Naruko's energy kept everyone motivated and cheerful. When the last plank was set and the bridge held firm, the villagers cheered. Naruko looked around at the smiling faces, her heart felt full. She realized that her greatest magic wasn't just in her gift of heart light, but in the way she could bring people together, inspire courage, and help everyone discover the light inside themselves. As the sun set, painting the sky in orange and pink, Naruko tugged at her scarf and grinned. She knew this was only the beginning of her adventures. With friends like Otaku by her side, and a heart brave enough to face anything, Naruko felt ready for whatever the world would whisper next. Naruko skipped down the quiet village street, her bright scarf fluttering in the soft morning breeze. She loved mornings like this, the smell of fresh bread from the bakery, the sound of the wind rustling through the trees, and the laughter of children playing nearby. But today, something felt different. Up ahead, she noticed an elderly woman sitting on the ground, her arms trembling as she tried to pick up a fallen basket of flowers. Naruko's heart skipped a beat. She knew that woman. "Hana Oba-chan," Naruko called, rushing over. The woman looked up, her face creasing into a gentle smile, but she winced slightly as she struggled with her basket. "Naruko-chan. You're here," she said softly. Without a second thought, Naruko knelt down and helped lift the basket. "It's okay, I've got it. Don't worry about a thing." She carefully arranged the flowers back in the basket, making sure none of them were bent or crushed. Hana Oba-chan reached out a shaky hand and patted Naruko's head. "You've always been so kind, Naruko-chan. Even when I didn't ask for help, you were always there. Naruko smiled. That's because I care about you, Obachan. Everyone needs a little help sometimes, right? Helping Hana Obachan up, Naruko noticed how frail the woman had become. It reminded her of how important it was to cherish the people around her, to always offer a hand when it was needed, and to spread kindness wherever she went. Together, they walked toward the village clinic. Along the way, Naruko chatted happily, telling Hana Obachan about her ninja training, her friends at the academy, and the small adventures she had been on that week. The woman's eyes sparkled with pride and warmth as she listened. Once inside, Naruko made sure Hana Obachan was comfortable and offered her a cup of warm tea. Sitting beside her, Naruko realized something important: helping others wasn't just about the act itself, it was about sharing happiness, being present, and letting people know they were valued. Naruko squeezed Hana Obachan's hand gently. You're not alone, Obachan. I'll always be here for you. Hana Obachan laughed softly, a sound like wind chimes. And I'll always cheer for you, Naruko-chan. You've grown into such a brave and caring young ninja. I'm proud of you. Naruko's heart swelled with joy. She realized that courage wasn't just about facing dangerous missions or mastering new jutsu, it was about showing up for people, nurturing friendships, and offering love and support when it mattered most. And from that day on, Naruko promised herself that she would always walk through life with kindness in her heart, a helping hand ready, and a smile for everyone she met. Because true strength wasn't just in her abilities, it was in her heart. In the village of Hidden Leaf, there lived a spirited young girl named Naruko. With bright eyes and a heart full of dreams, she carried a special warmth wherever she went. Unlike many children her age, Naruko had a secret. Inside her, a small, playful fox spirit lived, giving her bursts of energy, courage, and laughter when she needed it most. Naruko loved helping others, even if it meant stepping outside her comfort zone. One sunny afternoon, as she wandered through the bustling marketplace, she felt a flutter in her chest, a strange mix of excitement and uncertainty. She paused near a stall full of colorful masks and goggles, her gaze catching on a vibrant orange spiral pattern. For some reason, it made her feel brave, almost as if it were whispering encouragement. She picked up a pair of goggles with orange-tinted lenses and slipped them on. Immediately, the world seemed a little brighter, every sound a little clearer. She giggled softly, twirling in place. These will do nicely, she whispered. It was a small act, but it reminded her that even tiny choices could make her feel stronger and more herself. As the sun began to dip behind the rooftops, Naruko made her way to her mentor, Sensei Minato, who lived in a cozy apartment near the heart of the village. She had been wrestling with a tangle of emotions all day, moments of worry, flashes of doubt, and a fear of failing those she cared about. When she arrived, the door opened to reveal Minato, slightly frazzled from a long day but smiling warmly when he saw her. Hello, Naruko. You're here early, he said, stepping aside so she could enter. Naruko felt a tiny flicker of courage in her chest.
Sensei, I have a lot on my mind, she admitted.
Minato nodded and gestured for her to sit. That's okay. You don't have to say everything at once. I just want you to know that it's safe to share. Sometimes, talking helps the heart feel lighter. Naruko took a deep breath. Sometimes I feel like I have to do everything perfectly, or I'll let people down. And other times, I feel like I'm not sure who I am at all. Minato leaned closer, his expression gentle. Naruko, being unsure doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're growing. Every challenge you face, every mistake you make, is part of discovering who you truly are. And you don't have to do it alone. You have friends, teammates, and me, we're all here to help you along the way. A warmth spread through Naruko's chest. She realized that while life could feel confusing, she didn't have to face it in silence. Her mistakes didn't define her, and her courage wasn't about never feeling afraid, it was about choosing to keep going, even when fear visited her. I think I understand, Sensei, Naruko said, her eyes shining. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to ask for help. And I can still try my best, even if I don't get everything right. Minato smiled and nodded. Exactly. That's the mark of true courage. And I know you have plenty of it, Naruko. That evening, Naruko left the apartment with a light heart. She wandered through the village streets, the orange-tinted goggles catching the last rays of the sunset. With every step, she felt a little braver, a little more certain that she could face whatever came next. And in that moment, Naruko discovered something wonderful. The strongest magic wasn't in her fox spirit, her goggles, or even her abilities. It was in her kindness, her courage, and her willingness to grow, one small step at a time. From that day forward, Naruko approached the world with a heart full of hope, ready to support her friends, learn from her mistakes, and embrace the adventure of becoming herself, fear, joy, and all. Naruko sat on the edge of the village fountain, her legs swinging slightly as she watched the sunlight dance on the rippling water. She had always been a little different from the other children, louder, braver, and full of boundless curiosity, but she had a heart that wanted nothing more than to connect with others and bring joy wherever she went. A gentle voice interrupted her thoughts. "Naruko. Are you okay?" Startled, she looked up to see her mentor, Master Minato, standing there with a warm smile. His presence was comforting, like the sun breaking through a cloudy sky. Naruko nodded, though she could feel a strange flutter in her chest, a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "Can I hold your hand, sensei?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Master Minato hesitated for just a moment, then extended his hand. Naruko took it carefully, her small fingers tracing the lines and creases with wonder. Her hands were tiny and soft, still holding traces of childhood innocence, while his were strong but gentle, evidence of years spent helping and guiding others. The warmth of his hand spread through her, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Naruko felt completely safe. It wasn't just the warmth of skin, it was the warmth of care, of being seen and understood. A lump rose in her throat, and suddenly tears slipped down her cheeks. "Naruko," Master Minato murmured, placing a hand on her hair and smoothing it down gently. "It's okay to let it out." She laughed through her tears, a sound that was part joy and part relief. All the moments she had spent feeling small or invisible melted away in that instant. Being understood, being cared for, it felt like coming home. Naruko thought of all the times she had struggled, the times she had felt lost or alone. And yet here she was, surrounded by people who believed in her, who saw her strength even when she couldn't. She realized that courage wasn't about never being afraid, it was about allowing herself to be vulnerable, and still moving forward. She squeezed Master Minato's hand and smiled through her tears. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady. "I want to try again, to do better, to make things right." Master Minato nodded, his eyes kind and proud. "Then let's take the first step together." Naruko's heart felt light as she stood up, the sun warming her face. She knew that life would always have challenges, but she also knew that friendship, kindness, and perseverance would guide her through anything. She would grow, she would learn, and she would bring happiness to those around her, starting with herself. For the first time in a long time, Naruko felt truly at peace. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was alive, she was loved, and she was ready to embrace the adventure of being herself. And as she walked beside her mentor, hand in hand, she whispered to herself, "I'm home. I finally feel like I belong." Dear YouTube family, this is all for now. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, it really helps me keep creating. Thank you for your support. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.